Shalom. This is another Acts Watchman. This question is posted on our site, and it's by a gentleman by the name of Adonaiah Yahuwah. Anyway, this is how it goes. Yahushua, social drinking of wine. Shalom, Watchman Yahu. I know that Yahushua had what is called the Last Supper before he was crucified. That supper represented his body and his blood that they symbolically ate and drank of. Did Yahushua actually drink wine socially, or did he just drink wine to signify the shedding of his blood and the breaking of his body when the centurion Roman soldier pierced him in his side, causing blood and water to come out of that side, and drinking of wine to represent his blood that was shed when he was crucified? Did he actually sit down with the disciples and drink wine socially? Does the Bible or anything in the Apocrypha support any information that he actually drank wine socially with the disciples? Okay. Now, you have some religious teachings that's out there from Christianity that Yehoshua didn't drink any wine, and where that comes from basically is when you go to the scriptures and you look at where it talks about John the Baptist. Let's go there for a moment. This is in I think it's in John. Okay, here we go. This is in actually, we're going to start from Luke chapter 7. Let's go to Luke chapter 7, verse 33. Okay, Luke chapter 7, verse 33. Let's look at this for a moment, okay? The reason why most Christians say that Yahushua didn't drink wine is because there's a passage. I got to find it. I'll find it before I end this video. But it said that John the Baptist, when he was born, that he would neither drink wine at all nor strong drink, basically, and that he would be a child of the Ruach and all that. So people say, man, if John the Baptist didn't drink wine, then clearly Yehoshua didn't drink wine, because Yehoshua must be more set apart than John the Baptist. Well, the problem with that theory is that Yehoshua had to drink wine because it said John the Baptist wouldn't drink any at all. But we know when Yehoshua sat down and had communion at the Last Supper, we know they had wine. And so they forgot about that one. So John the Baptist was different. Think about John the Baptist. He was a child. Pardon me? Yeah, that's right. He did. He turned water into wine.
Obviously,
also
drank some of it.
That's right. Obviously,
I think that was at a wedding.
That was at a wedding. That's right. It's a good point my son made. He turned water into wine. Because obviously he must have drank some, But anyway, here's a better scripture, one that's going to really bring it out that he obviously must have drank wine. This is Luke chapter 7, and we're going to look at verse 33. And this is what it says. Actually, we're going to start at verse 31. And Yah said unto whereunto then shall I liken men of this generation? And to what are they like? They are like unto children sitting in the marketplace and calling one to another, saying, we have piped unto you. We have not danced. We have mourned to you, and ye have not wept. For John the Baptist, the immerser, came neither eating nor drinking wine, and ye say he have a devil. The Son of Man is come eating and drinking, and ye say, behold, a gluttonous man and a wine bibber, a friend of the publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of all her children. Wow, did you hear that? Basically, he just said it right here. He summed it up. He said that John the Baptist neither came eating or drinking wine. Then he said, and y'all said he had a devil. He said, but the Son of Man came both eating and drinking. And why didn't it say wine there? You see, because actually the common drink among most Israelites was wine. They had wine. The wine is written some 270 times in the Old Testament. 207 times in the Old Testament. Wine. No, it was 270 times. So when you think about the word written that much in the scriptures, 207 times, they obviously must have drank it. It must have been something common for it to be written that many times. But he said John the Baptist didn't come doing neither eating or drinking wine. The Son of Man came eating and drinking. Now, it didn't say wine there, but notice the next verse. It says, behold, you call him a gluttonous man and a wine bibber. Why would they call him a wine bibber if he wasn't drinking wine? You see my point? So sometimes you got to read between the scriptures there to see if Yehoshua actually drank wine. Yeah, he did drink wine. He probably did sit down and drink wine. Now, what's amazing is, I want to share this with you. I want you to think about this scripture here, right? And I want you to see this. This may take a minute for me to find this one, but I want to find this for you. First, let's go to Psalms 105. Let's go to that one first. Psalms 105. Verse 15. Psalms 105, 15. Okay, this is what it says. It says, no, can't be Psalms 105, 15. I got the wrong scripture. Okay, Psalms 105. Okay, just bear with me one moment. Psalms 104, 15. Okay. And it says, and wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil make his face to shine, and bread which strengthen man's heart. So he said, Yah made what? Wine that maketh the heart of man glad. So there we have it. He created wine to make man's heart glad. Okay. Now, the other scripture I want you to look at is kind of makes you wonder. Because I believe Yehoshua did drink wine socially. Now, I'm going to show you these two scriptures, and I want you to be the judge, okay? Let's go to Revelation. Okay, Revelations, let's go to chapter 1. Okay. It says, his head and his hairs were white like wool, as white as snow, and his eyes were as a flame of fire. Okay. Eyes were as a flame of fire. It says it again in Revelation chapter 2, verse 18. It says, who have his eyes like unto a flame of fire, and his feet was like fine brass. Okay, there it is again. Eyes like a flame of fire. Okay. Revelation chapter 19. Let's look at Revelation chapter 19. And this is verse 12. It says, eyes were as a flame of fire, and his head were many crowns. In a name written that no man knew. Okay, so basically it tells you there again, his eyes were as a flame of fire. Okay. And I found this really interesting when you look at this scripture here. Okay. Okay, listen to the scripture. This is in Genesis. And we're going to look at verse 11 and 12. And it says, binding his foal unto the vine, and his ass's coat unto the choice vine, and he washed his garments in wine, and his clothes in the blood of grapes. His eyes shall be red with wine, and his teeth white with milk. Isn't that amazing? Now, I'll let you draw your own conclusion on that. I've heard people teach that it's quite possible that when the scripture says that his eyes was red, or was as a flame of fire, meaning that his eyes are red. And it says here that his eyes is red with wine. If you notice, wine would do that if a person drink wine. So, not saying that he, you know what I mean, in those passages where it talks about that, I'm just throwing that out there. So I'll let you be the judge. You do your own research on it. But basically, I do believe that the scripture does make it obvious that Yahushua did drink wine. In fact, I have some historical books that I did research in, and it was obvious that Yahushua drank wine. Why would they call him a wine bibber? He said John the Baptist didn't come eating and drinking wine at all, and they called him, they said he had a devil. He said, but the Son of Man came eating and drinking, and you called him a wine bibber. How about that? So to me, it's obvious, but some people don't like to, I understand, because you got a lot of people that are run with that one, but if you're gluttonous and you a person that will be given to much wine, then you don't need to be drinking wine at all. You're going to be given to too much wine, you're going to be drunk. You don't need to be given to it. So that's what the scripture says, not given too much wine. But some, the apostolic church that I went to, they preached that the wine in the scriptures was actually vinegar and it wasn't really wine. And that's because they are a self-righteous church, and they were pretty much, they didn't want to lead it out there because they knew a lot of people would come out of a riotous life. You know what I mean? We're probably drunkards and all kinds of stuff. So they want to block that man and keep him from going into anything like that by saying it was just wicked to drink wine, period. And I know this for a fact because I've spoken with an assistant pastor about this very thing. And he was very argumentative about it, saying that they were not drinking wine. When he told Timothy to drink wine, it was not really wine. When Yehoshua said Yehoshua may have drank wine, it was really vinegar. It's like, yeah, you can't even find that one in the scripture. But anyway, you can't,
Who would even drink vinegar?
yeah. So anyway, you can't really just pencil in these things that you want to be in the scriptures. But anyway, I hope that explained things. Yes, I do believe he drank wine. Socially, when I say socially, I'm not saying that he, like when you see social drinkers today, it's a bit over the top, you know what I'm saying? But I believe that wine was just a common drink in your average household. People were trying to grow vineyards and things like that because of the wine. You see, I think wine was a common thing. And when I did research and historical studies, I discovered that wine was a common drink in the scriptures in back in those days. So on that note, I hope that explained things. You can check those scriptures out for yourself. Again, that was Luke chapter 7, verse 33, and Psalms 104, verse 15. And you could do a search on wine in the scriptures, which is 270 times in the scriptures. And of course, there are scriptures that talks about you shouldn't drink wine, and there are other scriptures that talk about it. Shouldn't drink wine or strong drink, but yet in the Torah, they said that if you can't pay your tithes, you go buy yourself a strong drink and some wine or something, and it says it in the Torah. So research that yourself when you get time. Anyway, I hope that explained things. On that note, I'm going to say shalom.